we're back with a really cool video.
That's right, we are back. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, and as always, we'll be going over your agenda today. But first, we have exciting news. We had another day of perfect attendance, so that makes 8 days in a row that we've had perfect attendance so far. And so you only have, how many more days?
One more day. I want to shoot my daddy into his heart.
That's right, he gets to squirt me with the water gun while I attempt to jump over a fence. So, one more day, keep up the good work. You guys are doing an excellent job. Continue to hand in excellent work. That name, date, mailbox number at the top is super important. Good, clean, well-lit photos whenever you send those to me, guys. Make sure that they're not blurry. Take a look at them before you hit that send button and see that I can really read everything you have on that page. I'm still getting some photos that when I get them, they've either been half of the page is cut off, or they're really blurry, or there's something that's not quite right about them. So please, take a couple extra seconds, make sure that your photos are nice, good photos with good lighting so that I can read them when I go to grade your assignments, okay? I really do appreciate that. Please make sure that you take care of that for me, and I would very much appreciate it. So, one more day, guys. Keep working hard. We're going to meet that goal, and we're going to have a lot more fun. So, we appreciate that. Right, Phoenix?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh
Okay, so we are going to talk about the very first assignment for today. This is step number 2 on your list, watching this video. Today's assignment for daily language and math. I do need to zoom in. Thank you, Phoenix. That is a good reminder for me. Okay, up at the top, we're going to complete the analogy.
I'm going to take a hike.
You're going to what?
I'm going to take a little hike.
You're going to take a hike? Well, get out of here, you little rascal. Okay, so back to daily language and math, we have complete the analogy. So remember, an analogy is a comparison of two things, and it shows the relationship of how they are alike or have something in common. So in this case, you have centimeter is to meter as penny is to blank. This one's a little bit tricky. I'm giving you a little hint here. I want you to realize that a centimeter, okay, in order to get a meter, you have to multiply it times 100, okay? So when you take a centimeter times 100, you get 1 meter. So what would you do if you were to multiply a penny times 100? How much money would you get there? That's going to help you with that one. Now, on number 2, South America is to Brazil, okay? Brazil is a country on the continent of South America. North America is the continent that we live on. And so you need to give something that is similar to North America as far as a country being located in North America. So South America is to Brazil as North America is to, and you actually have 3 different answer choices that you can choose from there, minimum 3. So those are easy for you. Divide the word into syllables. Remember, you're taking the word lemonade and you are breaking it down into chunks based on how many syllables are in the word. There are 3 syllables in the word lemonade. You need to spell it out, separating the syllables in that word, okay? So a little bit help with that one. So correct these sentences. You know what to do there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over that. You guys are doing really well. Continue to use those things that I asked you to use on those. We have 2 subtraction problems, so make sure you show your work, any regrouping required there. On number 2, always rewrite it in vertical form so that you can continue to show your work. Put your answer on the line. And then it asks an odd or an even question based on that number they give you. Now number 4 is a ratio question. If it says, if 6 people want Todd Smith for their class president and 17 people want Tony Johnson, what is the ratio of people wanting Todd to the people wanting Tony for class president? So, quick review on ratios, okay? This is actually what a ratio is. A ratio is a comparison of 2 quantities. So I have 2 circles, 3 triangles, and 4 squares, or 4 rectangles here. Well, actually they call them squares. They look like rectangles, but on this chart they call them squares. So we will pretend that they are squares. Now, on this one here, whenever you're talking about the ratio of squares to circles, they said squares to circles, all right? One of the ways you can write a ratio is by using the word to. Okay, there are 4 squares to 2 circles. Or you can write it with a colon mark, okay? 4:2 ratio, or you can actually write it in fraction form, where it has 4/2. And this would actually kind of be like an improper fraction, but it's still representing a ratio. How many squares to circles? 4:2. Same thing over here, triangles to total shapes. So there are 3 triangles to how many total shapes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total shapes. Triangles 3 to how many shapes? 9. All right? So in this case, you are basically just trying to tell the ratio of people that want Todd Smith for class president to who wants Tony for president, okay? So you'll write that ratio on the line. Once again, you can write your answer 3 different ways, okay? You can use the word to, you can use the colon mark, or you can write it as a fraction, all right? So that helps you with that. And then number 5, down at the bottom, is a number story question, and it has to do with time, all right? And it's a lapsed time question, so you'll want to use that strategy I worked with you on by making the timeline. You are starting at 10:15 a.m. You're going to add 42 minutes and then another 13 minutes, and you do that with a series of jumps. I showed that in one of my previous videos. You guys are familiar with that method. We've used it all year long. So make sure you put your answer down here with your AM or PM. Whenever you get done doing your timeline, make sure you show your work, underline the question, circle the important information like we always do, okay? And that is daily language and math for today. So the next assignment on the agenda is going to be your daily geography, okay? And this is also located in your packet. Okay, all 3 of these assignments that I'm going to go over, the daily language and math, the daily geography, and the reading passage are all in your packet, so that's where you will find them. So this is a physical map of California. This is the teaching page that you've used on the last one. Okay, it gives you information about what's going on with this physical map of California. And so one of the main points that it talks about is the San Andreas fault line and how it's a long crack that extends more than 800 miles off the coast of northwestern California to the southeastern part of the state. That's one interesting note to kind of keep in mind as you do read through this. And then down at the bottom, you want to get very familiar with your vocabulary. You have channel, fault, geopolitical map, and then you have Gulf, landform, physical map, and valley. Go through, really read those definitions because those are going to help you with some of your answers when we get to the questions, okay? Of course, you have your map. Oops. You have your map, which is the state of California. And once again, this is a physical map. A physical map is going to basically show the landforms in this particular area, okay? A political map shows like the state boundaries in between states, all right? So when we look at this map, okay, we have our legend up here, and we have mountain ranges, which looks like this. So you have these mountain ranges that are all different mountain ranges that kind of go through California. You have your desert area that has like the little black specks. So when I get down in the southern part of the state, I have my deserts down here. You want to take note on that. And then you have your rivers, you have your fault lines, your international border, which separates us from like the United States and Mexico, and then you have your state borders, your state capitals, and your city, okay? So, to the questions real quick. I want you to do Monday's questions, and I want you to do Tuesday's questions, okay? Only 4 questions today on this particular assignment. We will do Wednesday another time. So, for Monday, it says, name 2 mountain ranges that are shown on the physical map of California. Use your key or legend to see where those mountain ranges are, and they have them named on the actual map. So that's pretty straightforward. Remember, restating the question in your answer, capitalization, punctuation, good, complete sentences. I am getting a few of you that are kind of forgetting to put capitalization and punctuation and restating your question, and you're missing out on some valuable points, some easy points on these assignments. You know that I take that as part of your grade, not just the answer. A lot of it has to do with the actual writing process of this assignment. So, on this particular question, the way you would start it would be, you could start it out by naming the 2 mountain ranges. You could say blank and blank are 2 mountain ranges that are shown on the physical map of California. that would be one answer choice you could go by. Or you could also start your sentence out with the two mountain ranges that are shown on the physical map of California are, and then your answers, okay? So there's two different ways that you can start those sentences. Remember, some variety in your answers, not starting every single answer with the same thing. We practiced that all year as well. So not every answer should start with the word the. I just gave you two different ways to start in your sentences, and you guys are really good about coming up with different ways. So, number 2, which of these landforms, valleys, mountains, or canyons is not shown on the map? Okay, so basically it's kind of like a multiple choice question. It wants to know which one of these landforms, 1, 2, or 3, is not shown on the map. Go to your key or legend and look and see which one of these is not listed. That's going to help you with that answer. Tuesday, which two deserts are named on the map? So you find the symbol that represents the deserts, okay? I go back to my map, okay? And I have my symbol for desert. And then I find the deserts on this map and then figure out what the names of them are. And then I have my answer. So, one way that I could start my sentence is, blank and blank are the two deserts named on the map. Or I could say, the two deserts that are named on the map are, and then my answer. Okay? So you get the kind of the idea of where I'm going with this. Number 2, name 3 kinds of waterways shown on the map. When we talk about waterways, you know, we're talking about rivers, ponds, river channels, all right, oceans, gulfs. All of those are examples of waterways. Out of those examples that I just gave you, you need to look and see how many of those you can actually find. A bay is another example of a waterway. So I'm really helping you out with this one. All you have to do is look at the map and see out of those ones that I just gave you, which 3 are actually on this particular map, and you're good to go. Then that's it. You're only doing Monday and Tuesday's questions, and then you stop right there. Remember, capitalization, punctuation, don't waste those easy points. Check your work over before you send it to me in a picture. It was just like we do in class. I always have you check your work over before you put it in the tray. The same process. Don't waste those easy points, okay? All right. And now, the very last assignment for the day is this short little poem here, okay? So we've done a poetry passage about a week ago. And so the elements of poetry, remember you have that interactive notebook in your portfolio that breaks down the elements of poetry. I also have basically a elements of poetry anchor chart that I went over with you in a previous video. I will attach this to the post so that you can review it if you need to. I encourage you to do that. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over that because we've already kind of touched base on it. So back to the poem, okay? And as you know, poetry is broken up into individual lines and what they call stanzas. The stanzas are like the small paragraphs in a poem. They're not actually paragraphs, but they are the collection of lines that are separated from each other. So this is a stanza, and this is a stanza. This has 3 stanzas in it. 1, 2, and 3. And then each stanza has lines in it. Each stanza here has 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, okay? And that's pretty simple to kind of gather from that. Now, before you go any further, of course, we always read the questions first, okay? So the first question is a summarizing question. All right, it says, which best summarizes the poem? You know that a summary is kind of like a retell of the important events from the poem, so you kind of stick to that main idea and details. What is the main focus of this particular poem when you're thinking about your answer? A couple of these are kind of silly. They always throw a couple of silly ones in there that you can eliminate through the process of elimination and help narrow it down to the 2 that you might have to think a little bit more about. You know, that's a process and a strategy that we use all the time. Eliminating those silly answers so that you can focus on the ones that are the possibilities, okay? Context clues, you know, you're using the words around an unknown word to determine its meaning. And then, like I said, we've already went over that plenty, so you guys are familiar with using context clues. Literary devices, also known as figurative language, okay? Now, It says, which of these following literary devices is used in the poem? Foreshadowing, flashback, pun, and sarcasm. I want to go ahead and go over these definitions real quick with you, and I will attach them to the post so that you can review those. But real quick, I have the literary devices and the definitions. So foreshadowing is when the author hints at an event yet to come in the story. So it's kind of like a hint or a preview of what's going to happen in the future. That's what foreshadowing is. So therefore, flashbacks, it says, refers to previous events split up present day scenes in the story, usually to build suspense or towards a big reveal. So flashback is just kind of like a reference to something that's already happened in the past, okay? So like if you're referencing your childhood or something that happened in your childhood, that would be a flashback, okay? Sarcasm is whenever you use words to convey a meaning that is the opposite of the literal meaning. Most of you are familiar with sarcasm. When you say something in a certain tone, but it really means the opposite, your tone reflects that it means the opposite of what the words you're actually saying mean. So once again, you have that kind of sarcasm piece in there. Now, a pun, okay, a pun is something that is a play on words and sounds. They're very similar to a joke. They're actually meant to be funny, okay? So some of you may be familiar with puns, but basically I have a couple of examples here of puns that I would like to share with you. But just remember that a play on words that sounds very similar to a joke, and they are meant to be funny, okay? So I will go ahead and share a couple of those with you. All right. The first pun is, Mark was shopping for a camouflage shirt, but was having trouble finding one. So the next one, I know, hilarious, right? So the next one is, when fish are in school, sometimes they take debate. Get it? Debate. So that is some examples of puns. Kind of silly, but they are kind of funny at times. So anyways, that brings you back to the poem here. Let me get back to where I started. And so we talked about the literary devices. We just talked about foreshadowing, flashback, pun, and sarcasm. So that gives you an idea of those. I will attach those definitions to the post. Now, back to poetry patterns. All right, we did this last time, and some of you struggled with this a little bit on the assignment. So I'm going to kind of review that. I'm going to bring that up here. Okay, so what you have to do whenever you are labeling rhyming patterns, it's all about finding the rhyming words that rhyme between the individual lines. Okay? And so I'm going to read this first stanza for you, and then I am going to go ahead and help you out with the rhyming pattern. The first line says, softly in the dusk, a woman is singing to me, taking me back down the vista of years till I see a child sitting under the piano in the boom of the tingling strings, and pressing the small poised feet of a mother who smiles as she sings. So when I look at this, I am looking for rhyming words between the lines. And that is going to be represented in my rhyming pattern when I go to label this using the alphabet. So, of course, I always start with the letter A. So this first line is going to be letter A. Okay? Now, me and C rhyme. So since those rhyme, I'm going to label those the same. Okay? So I have an AA in the first two lines. Now I have strings and sings. Okay? Those rhyme. But those two words do not rhyme with me and C. So I go to the next letter of the alphabet. I go to B. Alright? So now I have labeled the rhyming pattern for my first stanza. Now I'm going to go to the second stanza, and then I'm going to let you do the third one on your own. When you turn your paper into me, I should see all of this, what I've done so far, on your paper, as well as you finishing the last stanza and labeling those rhyming patterns like I'm doing on the first two. So make sure you have that done. That was missing on a lot of papers that were handed in to me previously, and I feel like that's because you didn't quite understand the concept. So I'm going over it a little more so you understand. So it says, in spite of myself, the insidious mastery of song betrays me back till the heart of me weeps to belong. Okay, so now I have song and belong that rhyme, and I'm starting a new stanza, so I start my letter process over. This is going to be A, okay, because song and belong actually rhyme. So, to the old Sunday evenings at home with the winter outside, and hymns in the cozy parlor, the tinkling piano, our guide. Okay, outside and guide rhyme. So, but those do not rhyme with song or belong. So I have to go to the next letter of the alphabet. Those are going to be labeled B. So far my rhyming pattern is A, B, B, A, B, B. And you need to finish the last stanza. That is part of your work. And then you will go ahead and select your answer for the rhyming pattern on number 4. Number 5, we have author's perspective. Okay? Which phrase shows that the author feels embarrassed when he begins to weep? Weep means that you're crying over something that makes you sad. Okay? Just remember that. And then the author's tone, it goes back to what is the tone the author is using throughout the poem. Are they using a cheerful tone, a sad tone, mysterious, or an embarrassed tone? Okay? And so that all goes back to how does the story read, and how do you feel that the author is expressing its feelings as it's telling you about this experience in the poem. And that is all for that particular assignment. So, going back to our agenda to finish up. Step number 3, I just kind of put a note in here. It says make sure you've completed and sent quality photos of all your assignments up to date. Like I said, there are some of you that I have not received some of the previous assignments a couple of days this week. So make sure that you get those sent to me as soon as possible so that you can get a grade for those. Remember, if I don't receive an assignment, or if I receive something that I can't read or actually grade, then I can't give you a grade for that assignment. And it'd be like just like having a missing assignment or not turning it in, okay? And you don't want that in the grade book, okay? So make sure that you're getting those to me. I know there is the iMovie post that I made. There are several of you that have not made a comment on that post, and that was part of an assignment on Tuesday, I believe. So you need to find that post where I gave you the iMovie, and you need to make sure that you comment a positive comment about somebody's project after you watch the iMovie. It turned out really great, so you're going to enjoy watching that if you haven't already. But that is an assignment, so I'm actually taking a grade on that. So if you don't comment on that post, then you won't receive any points for that grade, okay? So it'd be like a 0. So make sure that you do that, all right? Just kind of reminding you about some of these things. Other than that, if you have any questions about what you have turned in or what maybe you need to get turned in, please don't hesitate to give me a call or message me, email me, and I will be glad to help you with that, okay? Remember, the Trash and Treasure STEM project is due tomorrow, which is Friday, all right? And so we will make sure you get me some video presentations. I have sent out a link to all your parents' emails telling them and giving them an easy way to share those videos with me so the quality is really good, okay? So get those done. I'm looking forward to see some really good STEM projects. Spend some extra time, make it your own, decorate it, and make it really, really awesome so that we can share those with each other. All right, guys, that's it for today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to holler. Phoenix, you want to say bye?
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you next time. Stay tuned.